This is Lori McIntosh with Rustic Ranches Real Estate, and I'm your equine property specialist. And today I am in the southern part of Auburn with Tony, who works at the Station 3. Actually, you work at all the stations, right?
Right, yeah, I'm the Battalion Chief, so I supervise whoever's on duty. And my office is at a city hall. So
That's not bad.
right.
Yeah, so Tony travels, and I think you are not at one place for too long, right? You're always on the go.
Right. Yep. A lot of office work. Any kind of big incident, I'll be the incident commander, so the IC. Anything that requires some supervision at the incident. So vehicle accidents, obviously fires, things like that. So I'll be the guy that's in charge. Yeah.
Okay, and this doesn't include North Auburn, right?
Right. So just the city limits. So it's City of Auburn Fire Department. So about going up 49, about Nevada Street, Edgewood, right there is the city limits, and then going up 80, right at Russell Road, and then going down 80, right about Ophir area, and then down Auburn Folsom, right past Tyler Drive area. So
Okay.
7.5 square miles.
Yes, that's the size of San Francisco, pretty much.
Yes, less population, but yeah.
A little bit. Do you happen to
Yeah.
know the population?
The population of Auburn is about 14,000.
Yeah.
And that's the resident population. So we have special events like the Lights Parade that bring in 10,000 more people, or the fair, a lot of activities in Auburn. And then we have the state recreation area that brings in a lot of people. Outside of the city of Auburn, however, we still are the first resource to be able to make it down to that area. It's CAL FIRE's response area, but we have a really good automatic and mutual aid agreements with them. So we run each other's calls for each other, and we both go to the same calls just to ensure sufficient resources are at scene to help mitigate any kind of disaster, emergency, or anything like that. So
yeah, I know. So by the way, you guys, I met Tony through Leadership Auburn. Highly recommend it. I'm in class of 2024, which is the best class ever.
Oh.
And I know, surprise, right? And I asked him a lot of questions about this because I don't live within the city limits, but I felt really good about how you were telling me about the collaboration between all the departments and how you really do work as a team.
Yeah.
You have a team here, you have a team over off Sacramento Street near
Right.
the canyon, and then you have this full-on team, pretty much all of Northern California, really.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, the entire
like
state, the state of California has done a really good job modeling the master mutual aid system. So you think about those big wildland fires that we have every year, and even in the winter, floods and disasters, earthquakes, or whatever. California OES and California Department of Forestry, now CAL FIRE, are really good cooperators with each other to help mitigate large disasters. So there's incident management teams that'll be called out to help run the incident, and they consist of an incident command team, a logistics team, finance, operations, and safety teams. And there's multiple people on each team, and they all cooperate together to order more resources. Any given large scale fire that you see on the news every summer has 5,000 people there, and they're not just managed by one person. Everybody has somebody they report to and utilize the chain of command and what we call the incident command system. So there's different level of ICS classes you can take to help get educated and gain knowledge in those positions. Not me.
Not you. That's good. Okay, so it kind of, whoops.
Sorry.
No worries. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, by the way, a very large military town. It sounds like it's well run, just like the military is, with all the levels of service that you provide, and then chain of command.
Right. Yeah. So it's a paramilitary organization, just like the fire academies when you're first starting and getting into the fire service. It's very militaristic on the way that you report to your supervisor, and we go through an academy, which would be like boot camp, but nowhere near what the military actually goes through. But it's very structured. You learn discipline, and discipline is not a negative term. Discipline is honing in on your practice to be efficient and strategic in your skills that you could put forth to mitigate any kind of incident and hazard that we throw at you. So that's our goal, is to instill discipline in you from the beginning. So when you do get to the job, then you're ready to go in any kind of hazard that we run into.
Yeah, so if you want to be a fireman and you're kind of a rebel or a loner, you might not fit in, right? It seems like, or could you like educate someone to like change their personality a little bit if they really want to do this, but they just don't have the ability to work well with others?
So it's a good point that you bring up. We've hired a lot of people over my career, from the firefighter level all the way up to the battalion chief level, and really what it comes down to is everybody generally has the same skills, the same certifications. Some may have more experience than others, but what we have found is it's really about fit within the culture, because that's something that you can't change, is somebody's personality. So
Right.
if somebody doesn't like people, this probably is not the best career option for them. We're all about working with people and helping people at every level. As a firefighter, you do more of what you're told by your captain and your engineer, but you're still out there helping people on a daily basis. And as you promote, the more and more you work with people. So my job now as a battalion chief is to manage not only my crews, but to interact with the public and to really feel what the needs are of the community, to bring that back to the department, to develop a program to support the needs of the community. So it's a very unique opportunity. And with Auburn versus another department, we're a very small organization.
Mm-hmm.
So with us, we have a fire chief, we have 3 battalion chiefs, and a community risk reduction manager, which is a fire prevention specialist. And so that's what we call our command staff. And so the 5 of us work very closely and well together to reach out to the community to figure out what the needs are, what the desires, where we're lacking, what we're doing good at, and how to smooth that scale to be efficient at everything we do. And it's true, we do get called to get cats out of trees, and we get called when your house is on fire. So we really do anything you want us to do. We're never going to say no. Please don't take advantage of that. But we're there to help you, and we are part of your community. Your tax dollars pay for us to be here. So when we come get your cat out of the tree, we don't send you a bill. We don't send you a bill after we put your house out when it was on fire. Your taxes pay for that. So we are here to help you and to support you and to make sure that you have the best quality of life that you can possibly have while being in the city of Auburn. And in my position now, I really get to support that, versus when I was on an engine, I did more of the daily tasks of, we need to do this today, we need to clean this or check this piece of equipment or get this piece of equipment in service, lots of training, stuff like that. But now it's more of that global concept and conceptualizing it into strategy and tactics.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's go back to the very beginning. How did you have that desire to do this?
So
were you in another field at all?
No, I started the fire service when I was 18. So my grandfather was a firefighter. My dad was a firefighter.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, so it's a family business.
Yeah.
In fact, my dad was the assistant fire chief in Rincon Valley inside of Santa Rosa. And then in 2001, he became the fire chief here in the city of Auburn. And so after I graduated high school, I immediately joined the fire service in the city of Auburn as a volunteer. I was a volunteer for about 4 years, and I got hired full-time on a SAFER grant, which is a staffing for adequate fire and emergency resources. It's a FEMA grant, and so it gave the city of Auburn money to hire 5 firefighters for 2 years. And so my job was not guaranteed. Sorry, I don't know who that is. So I don't want my boss to call in the middle. So I started at 18 and then was hired in 2012 as a SAFER grant, and then the city of Auburn absorbed that staffing into their budget. So it became no longer limited term. I was full time, and then I promoted to engineer, which is the driver and operator of the fire engines, and then I promoted to captain in 2018, and then in 2020 I was promoted to battalion chief. So I've been doing this for nearly 4 years now, and every job has been so different. As a firefighter, you're the workhorse. You you're the tools. I mean, you are the tool of the fire department. You pull the hose, you have the nozzle, you're fighting the fire. Vehicle accidents, you're there with the extrication tools. The engineer's job is more to support the operation, to get the equipment to the firefighter. On a fire, they pump the engine. So this fire engine that we're sitting in front of now is a 1,500 gallon per minute pump. So you can pump out 1,500 gallons in 1 minute, depending on the way you have it set up.
Nice. That sounds like a good well that people would want to have living in the country.
Yeah. So it carries 500 gallons of water. So the engineer's job is to find the fire hydrant, supply the water to the engine, dial in the pressures. There's a lot of math involved. You have to know the friction loss for the size of hose lines. So there is a lot of math. It's a very dedicated job, and you get to drive the fire engine. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that position. And then as the captain, they sit in the front right seat, and they're in charge of the fire engine. So they say, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. This is our strategy. This is our tactics. This is how we're going to employ our resources to mitigate the incident. And then as the battalion chief on scene, you strategically place your engines to mitigate the entire incident. So I like to say, you dictate the operations of the incident and say the objectives, and then the engine's job is to figure out the strategy and the tactics to mitigate that, to meet the objectives of the incident. So
it's a lot of steps.
Yeah, it is, and it's quite the promotional process for every step. And again, like we discussed earlier, my job now, working in City Hall, collaborating with different departments, the police department, public works, airport manager, because we have the airport that's
which is like an island,
yeah.
So it's like outside of city limits, but it's still connected.
Right. Yeah, it's out. It is exactly right. It's an island. It is in the city limits, but it's an island part of the city limits. So a lot of collaboration with other departments within the city, internal and external stakeholders, and it's really grown my my knowledge base on how the city operates. And
yeah, and is there another part of Auburn that's similar to the airport area that's like an island?
There is. There's the wastewater treatment plant over off Ophir Road.
Right, because that's more Newcastle, right?
It is. Yeah, it's in Newcastle, Ophir area, but it's a little island that technically has city limits, and the only thing it has there is the wastewater treatment plant,
which is really nice. I was very fortunate to take a tour of that as a leadership classmate, and it was Mengel.
Yeah, Mengel's
took
great.
us on the tour, and it was amazing. People are really lucky here to have the water that we have, and that's one reason why we moved up here, actually, because we were in the Bay Area, and we were looking at either Paso Robles or north.
Okay.
And up here near Tahoe. And does that like make you like, oh,
no,
gotta get to work?
No, I know what they're doing. As long as I know what they're doing, everything's
all
fine.
Good. Yeah. And we moved up here because we also have horses and livestock, and we wanted water.
Yeah.
And I just don't, Central Coast, who knows? And there's a lot of vineyards down there, but I know they don't have the water that we have. So that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Plus Tahoe and Tevis.
Yeah.
Those are the two.
Oh,
and
nice.
the trails.
Yeah.
Those
the trails are
main
amazing.
things.
Yeah. I've there's a lot of us that work here that like to mountain bike. So we'll get off shift in the morning at 8 a.m. and we'll go for a nice ride and come back and get our day going. So it is very nice.
I like to mountain bike too.
Yeah.
And you always know when you see a horse, you just say, "Hey, how's it going, horse?" And then the horse is like, "Oh, okay, that's not a mountain lion."
Right.
It's just this moving like potential predator coming at them, so they're not sure what to do.
Yeah.
And then sometimes like older ladies, especially because they have a fear of falling, because it's not easy to recover. They get scared or a little nervous, and the horse picks up on it immediately.
Okay.
And so it's a good thing to point out too.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So, yeah. And then as soon as I'm usually just like, hey, keep on coming. If the trail's wide, if it's really narrow, I ask him to stop and let me pass, because I'm on a 1,000-pound unpredictable beast. And if sometimes brakes squeak, or a mountain biker might stop and bend over, and then they come up, and that scares the horse, and they'll just go over the edge.
Oh, wow.
I've had that happen a few times.
Wow. Yeah, that doesn't
fun.
sound comfortable at all.
No, so I'm always like a little PTSD, or just like, what's going to happen with this mountain biker? Are they going to be cool,
Yeah.
Are they going to be a jerk? I have no idea.
Right. No,
And
totally. Yeah.
when they have earbuds and no eye contact and they have a grumpy look, I know they're not happy.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
So I got to be careful.
Well, that's good. I mean, well, and so you take command of the incident, right? So you
Yeah.
say, hey, hold off, or what, like you just
Yeah,
said.
you have
So,
to. You
yeah.
have to be a leader and a little bossy just because your life's on the line,
Right.
and you could go down in seconds.
You could do my job easy.
I could.
You could do it. That's all you do. Take command. Be a little bossy sometimes.
Yeah, you have. If you're a horse owner, that's why I love young girls to get into horse, because it improves your self-esteem, gives you confidence, and you really do become a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
while you were talking about what a fireman does on a day-to-day basis, I was thinking of all the fire hydrants everywhere. It's like, how do they know that they all have water in them and they work? Do you go around and test them?
So we do.
Yeah.
So PCWA owns all of the water in Auburn, and they own the hydrants, but we have a contract, an MOU with them that says we will maintain the hydrants. So we will go out and we'll test them. We'll make sure they're adequately flowing. We'll lube up the threads on them and make sure that they are working to the proficiency that we need them to work. We're very lucky in Auburn. There's a very good water system. All of the hydrants have really good pressure. There's different types of systems that will supply hydrants, gravity fed or pumped. Everything here is gravity fed. And the water storage there's multiple storage locations, but they're generally a lot higher than where we're at. So the gravity fed hydrants in this area are all putting out at least 100 PSI out of a 4.5-inch, what we call steamer valve, which is, we use large diameter hose to supply our fire engines that are 4.5-inch threads with a 5-inch hose, and they carry about a gallon a foot, and they come out at 100 PSI. So it's plenty of water supply for what we need it for. And so, yeah, we do maintain the hydrants, but we work with PCWA. So if a vehicle were to run into a hydrant, which happens a lot, we have a tool to shut the water off, and we'll call PCWA out, and they will come replace the hydrant.
Is that usually a drunk driver that would do that? Or just people, bad vision?
I've seen it all at this point. So, yeah. Distracted driving, drunk driving, definitely. I mean, when you get them in the middle of the night, I can remember one specifically over off of High Street where the call came in as the hydrant just sheared off and started shooting water, and we get there and there's a bumper laying on the ground, and it's like, well, they shouldn't have left. We have their license plate. So
they left the license plate.
They were contacted pretty closely after that. So
maybe they should be painted neon green or something.
Right. Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. So the City of Auburn Municipal Code requires them to be painted yellow. However, when you're in firefighter school, they teach you that the different colors of hydrants actually mean different gallons per minute on the hydrants.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. So a green cap is 1,500 gallons a minute or greater, and I can't remember all of it now. And then it's like orange and red is the worst. So you could look at a hydrant and say, oh, that only has less than 500 gallons a minute. We should probably find another one. But the reality is, if you're pulling up to a fire and that's the only hydrant around, you're not going to look for another one. You're just going to grab that hydrant. So before my time, the municipal code was adopted to say they're all yellow because it really doesn't matter what they're putting out. You're going to grab that hydrant anyways for your water supply.
I wonder if California Fair Plan surveyors know that. I would hope that they didn't. Just because you think, all right, your cap is red, that means you don't get as many gallons per minute, and so you have to pay more insurance or something. I don't know.
That'd be terrible.
That would be terrible. Oh no, I just put that out there, didn't I? So you're talking about Placer County Water District, right? What about NID, Nevada Irrigation District? Kind of flows into North Auburn, definitely, but parts of the city, or is that not at all? Because I wonder how influential they are working with the fire departments and having access to the canals.
As far as the City of Auburn, I don't really know because we only work with PCWA.
Okay.
I know that some of the canals are NID, and whenever we have an incident that involves a canal, we call PCWA. That's our contact.
And they probably work together with them.
Yep, and they can get a hold of whoever they need to get a hold of. So it's that chain of command and networking. And I really don't have a good answer on NID.
Okay. This is kind of like pushing me away from you a little bit, but I wanted to know, as a homeowner, let's say I pay a lot of insurance to live here because of the California Fair Plan and the risk of wildfire and living near the canyon. And also, Nevada County is heavily forested, and you've got part of Tahoe National Forest overlapping a little bit, coming from Highway 20 and down 49. If you have a pool and a pond, obviously that's going to be taken advantage of. But as a homeowner, do you have any suggestions for people? Like I always hear these men saying, "I'm going to stay home and fight the fire." And to me, I think, well, you're risking your lungs,
right,
and you're putting other people at risk because they know that you're there, and and neighbors are going to say that you're there, so the firemen know you're there,
right,
and their job is to save you,
yeah,
not you first, and then your structure, right?
yes, yeah. People are always first. Yep.
Is there anything that you can do to suggest to people to get them to leave? Like, if I knew that, I live at the end of the road, and this truck would, you can go down the end and turn around. It just won't be super easy. You're gonna have to do a 3-point turn, basically. Sure. And I don't want that to deter you to come to my house.
Right. No, understood. So we try to get as much education out there ahead of time as possible. So defensible space, creating defensible space for your home. 0 to 5 feet from your structure, you should have nothing. Rocks is the best, or cement. And then from 5 feet to 30 feet, everything needs to be spaced out. No tree limbs within 10 feet of your roof line. And then after 30 feet, you can have things a little bit closer but more spaced out. And then after 100 feet, it's it doesn't matter. So we're looking at that 100 to 0, and it gets more stringent the more closer you get to your house. So those are things our community risk reduction manager really tries to get in front of and educate our community. As far as when we get to a fire, whether it's a big fire, small fire, whatever, if it's a vegetation fire that's moving towards a home, we work very closely with our police force, whether it's city or county sheriffs, to put out an Everbridge alert to have you evacuate. And in California, it's you don't have to leave your home, even if it's a mandatory evacuation. Nobody can force you to leave your home. But we do have these little placards that we will put on the driveway, on the mailbox, or wherever we can visually see them. They're bright neon yellow, and it just has a quick little chart, and it says, is there type 1 fire engine access, which is this big fire engine? Is there access? And we'll either say yes or no. Is there people there? Yes or no. Is there a water supply? Yes or no. Those are the basic facts that we want to know. And so if there's no type 1 engine access, we're generally not going to go down there and try to defend something that you haven't bothered to prep yourself. So if you've done your homework and prepped your home, then we have a better chance to defend the fire from your home. If there is people there that have refused to evacuate, that's our main concern. If a fire is coming, we have a life safety alert that we need to mitigate. We don't care about the fire, we care about that person. And so now it deters us from doing our job of putting the fire out or skirting the fire around the neighborhood to just continue to burn the grass in the forest. We have to be concerned about that person. So we have to coordinate somehow to get them out. And then the water supply issue. So if there's a pool or if there's a pond, we can put our porta pump into there to supply our water supply lines. So those are all things that we look at. And when we get face to face with that situation where there's a person that's refusing to leave, you give it your best effort to say, your life is not worth your home. You should have a go bag ready to go, grab your medications, your favorite photo album, and we'll take you to the end of the road and get you to safety. We'll do anything that we can to get somebody out of there. But that's a lot of the focus has been on pre-educating people, because in the moment is not when we want to have those discussions. We want to have those discussions days, weeks, and years ahead of time.
Right. Yeah, I know. Over on Bowman and Cal Fire, I did talk to them before, and they said that I would like to have like a neighborhood chat and develop evacuation routes. Mm-hmm. And like Emma Lane, for example, I live in a neighborhood called Green Acres off Lone Star, and you could bust through that gate if you had to and go over through Christian Valley or up over through Meta Vista.
Sure.
But I don't know if a lot of people that just moved in have any idea that that exists. So
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And,
I
and
didn't.
there's, HOA communities that can have those discussions. There's also Firewise communities all sprinkled throughout the region. And the Firewise community is a really unique program where you become a Firewise community by applying to be a Firewise community. And then you have to do a certain amount of work. And then you can get grants to do more work in your neighborhood. There's monthly or bi-monthly meetings. I'm not exactly sure. Everyone's set up differently. Luana Dowling is the Firewise community director for the state, and she does a very good job of getting these neighborhoods up to standards of how to become a Firewise community, creating defensible space, having a community evacuation routes and program. And then they also have community work days throughout the year where they may work on an elderly neighbor's house that can't do the work on their own, or handicapped or disabled people that live in your community. Well, if you're a community strong, then everybody helps each other. And so maybe they pick one house a month, or 5 houses a year. I don't know. It's how they want to set it up on their own. And then they can request us to come to their meetings. We can give them some more information and just talk about what our plans would be for this neighborhood, and things like of that nature. So it's a
That's
great
great.
program.
I
Yeah.
definitely want to get more information on that. We
Yeah.
have 67 houses in our neighborhood, and I'm sorry, yeah, maybe 267. I had that wrong. And then there's a whole nother one, Lake Valley,
Hmm.
which goes up winding roads, and then it
Yeah.
gets more trees and a little more difficult to get to for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I would for sure want to look into that.
Yeah.
And I bring buyers over. I don't sell houses in Cool, but I bring buyers over to Cool. And Auburn Lake Trails has that whole setup
Yeah.
with evacuation signs, everything. But they are also right against the
Yeah, they
canyon
are.
with
Yeah.
Scotch broom everywhere and
Yeah.
manzanita and all kinds of things that aren't fire resistant.
Right. Right.
What blows my mind too is we have some bamboo by our pool, which is 30 feet, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
this is so bad. But
It
I love,
is.
it's a great screen for privacy.
Yep.
My horses ate the whole backside of it.
Okay.
It's a grass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always think about that. Like, we need to get rid of that.
Sure.
To do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the hard part, and we face that a lot when we do defensible space inspections, where it's like, you need to remove some of these trees from your roof line and your windows. It's like, oh well, it's privacy, and it's like, well,
Shade.
it's shade or privacy, and it's kind of like, well, risk versus gain, right? Do you want the
Yeah.
privacy of your neighbor that's 500 feet away, or do you want to have a fire safe home? So
Yeah,
it's that risk versus gain you have to go through as a homeowner as well.
you do. So when we were talking earlier about you and the levels of moving up the ranks,
Mm-hmm.
what comes after Battalion Chief?
In our department, fire chief. So
Okay.
yeah, which is a little intimidating. Yeah, currently our rank structure is fire chief, and then we have 3 battalion chiefs,
And that's
one
the
for each
highest?
shift, and yeah, fire chief's the highest in our department currently. Other departments, I know Rockland, Roseville, they have assistant chiefs or deputy chiefs. It's an interchangeable term, that really are. It's not an assistant to the fire chief. It's the assistant chief. So they handle more of the operations, and the fire chief will handle more of the administrative tasks. And then those are interchangeable as well. So you become more of a team at the top level there, and that's something that our department may look into in the future. Just it's all about funding and fit, and
Right.
what can we do the most of within our organization.
Well, we can't increase the population too much, mainly because of the topography we have here, right?
Sure. Yeah.
There's only so many new houses you can build.
Yeah. There's
and
only
there's
yeah,
not
at
enough
this point,
land.
I think you can only go up. I mean,
Right, and they're talking about that.
oh wow. Yeah, I
Mhm.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In North Auburn for low-income housing, trying to
Right.
figure out how that's going to happen too, because it's
Yeah.
a more complicated area to get to again.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then people walking down 49, I don't like that idea at all.
No, it's not a good
I
idea.
see it and it scares me because a lot of times it's night and I can't see people.
Right.
And I've had some close calls.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't like driving at night.
Yeah, there seems to be every year there's a couple of bad accidents on 49 in that North Auburn area.
And Bell Road too. People
Bell
will
Road.
walk up and down Bell Road.
Yeah.
And it's 55 miles an hour, but people go 60 sometimes. Sure. And it's funny because like you're not smart because that's the thoroughfare for the sheriff to go to their office.
It is, yeah.
Bell
Right.
Road over to Richardson. It's like they're up and down that road and you're
Yeah.
going 75. Like, really?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I'm
a
pointing that
beautiful
out for
area.
people to remind them. I've done
Yeah.
it. I just because I got like I need to get out of someone's way that's driving erratic, so I'll just speed up just to get away from them.
Sure. Yeah. Risk versus gain, right?
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We'll
Yeah.
see how that goes. Well, so you are in it for the long haul. I mean, obviously, when you're in this business, the benefits are amazing. You get a pension, everything,
Right.
because you are risking your life every day with
Sure.
what you do. I wonder, like a lot of firemen, if you start at 18, you can retire in your 50s.
So there's different formulas for retirement with
Yeah.
CalPERS. So classic member, 3% at 50. So at 50 years old, you're eligible to retire. And then the new pension reform that was in, I think, 2012 was 2.7 at 57. So you can't retire until you're 57, which I think we're probably going to see a change in that. You can imagine 57-year-old firefighters getting off an engine, on and off an engine for their entire career. They're going to have weak knees and backs and ankles. I think we're going to see a lot of injuries, and I think that they may change that pension reform again to something more suitable for the workload that we endure throughout our careers. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you know what? I'm 58, and if I didn't tear my ACL skiing, I feel like I could do it.
Yeah.
But I also was a pharmaceutical rep for almost 20 years, and I sat in a car
Okay.
all day long,
Yeah.
and that really abuses your body
It does.
just from not being able to use it. Like I went, and sitting is like the new smoking.
Right.
It's that bad for you.
Mm.
So
Should we stand up?
I know we will. Yeah, that's why I don't like to do hour-long videos. I'm like, okay, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty sad that people with their careers can really damage their bodies.
Right. Yeah. And we go from sitting to obviously getting off. You know, this thing's 3 feet high, and you're not jumping out. We got to have 3 points of contact when you get out of the engine. But you go from sitting in the fire engine to getting out to crawling into a building that you've never been into, filled with smoke.
Yeah, I'll pass on that.
Carcinogens. Well, and then people say, "Oh, but you sleep at night." Well, I can't tell you a night that I've ever slept all night.
Really?
Yeah, we always run calls throughout. Anytime you call 911, we're going to come. So, and that's the studies have shown that it's really bad on your heart. So you go from sleeping, dead asleep, totally relaxed, and then as you've heard the tones go off, and you're up and you're in the engine within 1 minute, and you're driving, and you're going to a call, and then you're whether it's a fire or any call for that matter, your resting heart rate generally for I would say all of our firefighters is somewhere in the 50 beats per minute range, and then you're immediately up and you're dressed and you're going and your heart rate is above 100, and then if it's a fire, it's in the cardio range of 140, and you're immediately put to work. You're wearing over 100 pounds of gear and you're dragging hose and you're fighting fire, and you were just asleep 2 minutes ago. And so studies have shown that's really bad on your heart. And the average life expectancy for a career firefighter is about 62 years of age.
Really?
So that scares me.
Oh my God.
That was
so retire at 57 and you got 5 years left?
Yeah, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah.
Heart attack, cancer are the number 1 and 2 killers of firefighters. And you don't think of the chronic effects of firefighting. You think of, oh, it's a dangerous job. You could have a building collapse on you, or you could be hit by a car on the freeway when you're doing a vehicle extrication, and those are the things that scare you. But really, what scares you is the stuff you can't see, all the carcinogens that we absorb in the fires, the wear and tear on your heart from doing the job, the stress that comes with the job, and that's some of my incentive to promote at a younger age, was to promote to remove myself from some of those environments, to create some longevity for my life. I have young kids, and I want to be around for them beyond when I'm 62.
Grandpa.
So yeah, that'd be nice one day. And those are things that I look at. I look at my dad that promoted when he was young, and he spends a lot of time with my kids, which I want to be able to do that one day, which is the dream for all of us, right? So yeah, that's some of the things that I've thought about, and we always try to do better. Mental health is a big part of the fire service at this point. We run a lot of traumatic calls. We've seen things that nobody should see. And so mental health, trying to check in with my guys to make sure that they're really doing okay. There's obviously peer support programs that we have available to us. There's also what's really gained a lot of traction is service dogs.
Yeah.
People will bring by service dogs, and their operation is really unique, where it truly is just a dog. And I have dogs at home, and I love my dogs. And I've noticed it with my dogs when I'm feeling stressed out or tired or just not my normal self. The dogs will come up and see everybody, and then they'll come back and they'll point on somebody, and they'll just spend more time with you. And so that allows the peer support group to say, "Hey, Tony, what's going on?" Like, you know, then start to just dig a little deeper, and then you can really get the support you need. And the City of Auburn does a very good job of offering a employee support program. It's completely anonymous, and you get to get in contact with counselors and therapists, and there's financial support, there's emotional support, marriage support, counseling for kids. There's really a good employee assistance program that the City of Auburn offers to us, and you know, it's anonymous, but I would say I think everybody has used it at some point or
That's great.
continuously uses it. So
That's really good to
Yeah.
hear. I know we talked about that when I was here as a student.
yeah,
Yeah, that's and it. The stigma, I think, is finally getting broken down a little bit.
sure.
Like when we were talking about, I asked you about COPD,
Mhm.
chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and I was thinking of being in a fire situation or a wildfire where you're just standing on a hillside, you know, for days on end,
Right.
and your oxygen only lasts so long before you got to change it out. But just day-to-day basis, you reminded me of how in the 90s everybody would come back and light up a cigarette,
Oh yeah,
and they were all
absolutely.
smoking.
Yeah,
And I forgot that people used to smoke even in California, because
sure.
on the East Coast and Europe, everybody seems to love to smoke still.
Still. Oh wow. Yeah, as a kid, like I said, my dad was in the fire service, and his fire station was right across from my elementary school. And I would walk over every day after school, and there was always an ashtray out back, and there's always somebody smoking out back, and you know that was just life. And now, uh, currently, we have 20 staff employees, from the fire chief to the firefighters. I don't know anybody that smokes. We've turned over a lot of personnel over my career. I can't think of anybody that's smokes. So that's good.
Awesome.
We're doing
Yeah.
something good.
Yeah.
That's definitely one thing that we can prevent. You know, going to fires, we're not going to be able to prevent that, but we can
Right.
prevent smoking.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got one last question before we
Sure.
wrap up. Tell me something that's really crazy that has happened that you're just like, what?
Hmm.
That was weird. You know, not necessarily a car accident, or I know I was asking them about cats in the trees, and they're like, cats always will come down at some point, right?
Well, they say, have you ever seen a cat skeleton in a tree?
Yeah.
Probably not. So, oh man, something crazy. Man,
That
I don't know.
surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, everything's a surprise at a certain point. Well, so a few years ago, excuse me, the airport manager retired, and so our fire chief at the time had some experience in his past agency of operating with the airport. So we as a team became the airport managers for the City of Auburn airport. And so that surprised me that I was now managing an airport that I knew nothing about. I don't know anything about planes, um, runways, operations, anything.
Except eating at
So
Wings Restaurant.
yeah, that's true. I've definitely
I
been
know how to
there,
do
so I
that.
knew where the airport was. So that was a unique experience. I was meeting and dealing with people that I've never met, and the airport lifestyle, in their own accord, is just like the fire department, where we have traditions and we have responsibilities and the way things are because that's the way they are. Well, it's the same thing with the airport. So I had to adapt to that culture to say, well, how can I help you become more efficient and become better? You know, there was things that were happening at the airport, like all the hangars and the tie downs and the leases that were not being tracked. So we had to figure out a tracking system and work with the community groups out there to organize that. So that was a unique experience that took me by surprise. But as a team with the other battalion chiefs and the fire chief, we were able to handle it. and then show the need for an airport manager. We were able to hire an airport manager in the recent years, which is great. But then when we did have the like an aircraft that went down, there's so much that needs to happen. You need to call the FAA and the NTSB and close the runways and get a hold of the field-based operating group out there and utilize, CAL FIRE would respond, City of Auburn would respond, we'd have a representative from the city. And so it was just delegating tasks to all these different entities that were there to make the incident flow smoothly and then start investigations and things of that nature. So just like a fire scene, we would do the same thing over there, but we would bring it to the airport with our institutional knowledge of how the fire service works, just bring that incident command system and that structure to the airport. So that was unique to me. That caught me by surprise, so
were
to
you
say.
in charge when the mayor of Auburn had that accident and died?
I was not on duty that day, and
that's
I'm
pretty
happy
sad.
about that. Yeah, so I was happy to not be there and a part of that. I worked with Bill Kirby my entire career, and it was a shock to all of us, and it was a very sad incident, very sad day, and that becomes hard for our firefighters when they know the person that's involved in any type of accident, and that's obviously extremely rare. An aircraft to fall out of the sky is not normal, and so that I know that was traumatic for some of our people. But yeah, no, I wasn't working.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to a positive note. Let's get a tour of the $1 million fire truck here.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, let's do it. I just keep going.
So this is a 2013 Pierce Enforcer. So just like Chevy, Dodge, and Ford, this is a Pierce fire engine. So we started building it in 2021. We all sat down as an equipment committee. We had a blueprint of what we wanted to change from our last engines. And so generally it looks the same as other fire engines. Fire departments really want to keep the same look of their fire engines. So when you see it, you say, oh, that's Auburn's fire engine. So we could just start at the driver's side and move around.
Yeah.
So we took delivery of it about a month ago. And since then, we've been working on mounting the tools, mounting everything to our needs, designing it to where tools are going to fit best and the best function of it. So the engine itself was about $700,000, and then after we put all the tools and everything on it, it's near $1 million.
Yeah.
So obviously, driver's seat, all the knobs and buttons, everything in there to make it go, to put it in pump, everything like that. So this cabinet here we use as a locker. This is where the engineer, the driver, will put his turnout gear, helmet, boots, all that kind of stuff. We're doing what's called a clean cab concept. So we talked about cancer a little bit earlier. So something that we can do, again, to prevent cancer in the fire service is to separate the carcinogens from our body. So we keep our gear away from us when we're not using it. Obviously, when we put it on and we use it, and after the incident, we'll put it all in garbage bags. We'll put it in the back, and we'll come back and we'll use the extractor and we'll wash it, and we will shower, clean ourselves, and then go back in service.
Okay, sounds like you need a beamer, which is PEMF, pulse electric magnetic frequency. I have one, and I have one for my horses, and it just helps rebuild your cells.
Wow, that's a great idea.
And mentally, it just helps relax you and chill out, and probably recover from your day-to-day tasks.
Sure. I know some departments, I think the City of Rockland, they have saunas in their fire stations.
Nice.
Where they do, after a fire, because you absorb all those toxins into your body. So the immediate thing they do is they go back to the station, they shower, they wash off the immediate carcinogens, they hydrate the whole time. You get in the sauna for, I don't know their policy or procedure, but a certain amount of time to sweat out a lot of those carcinogens, and you shower again, and then you're cleaner and you're healthier that way.
Yeah.
So
and then
it's not a luxury thing, it's an actual tool for
it's awesome.
keeping us healthy.
I have a sauna too, and a cold plunge would be good after that, like going back and forth.
Yep.
So that's really cool. So you don't put snacks in there. All right.
Right. And so then the back seat, the engine is designed with 4 seats: the driver, the captain, and 2 firefighters in the back.
Okay.
So you have the room for them in there. And again, we're just building this out. We're hoping to get it in service in the next 7 days. Would be the ideal scenario. And then we have our pump. We talked a little bit about the pump.
Yeah.
So you have 1,500 gallons a minute. It carries 500 gallons of water. So the engineer's job is to look at your discharge pressure. The intake over there is when you connect to the fire hydrant to this intake manifold, the pressure will come in, so you can read how much pressure you're getting in. And so part of that is you start sending fire hoses out. You have to know how much water you're taking in and to see how much water you can put out. Because if you try to put out more water than you're taking in, that's not going to work. So that's when you truly are a mathematician in this department, and you have to know if you can send more water out. And so there's different equations that you have to do in your head to be able to make that decision immediately.
Wow. So it sounds like a physics class would be beneficial too.
Yeah, we have and I'm sure that part of it is, well, there's the California State Fire Marshal Driver Operator 1A and 1B course. And actually our fire chief, John Rogers, is very passionate about that, and he instructs that through the college twice a year. And,
is this Sierra College?
Yep, through Sierra College.
Nice.
Yep. And so he's very passionate about that, which is good for us. All of our firefighters and engineers have learned from John, and he's taught us an incredible amount of knowledge to be able to employ those tactics and strategies at this pump panel to make sure that we are dialed in with no mistakes. So really fortunate to have him here. So yeah, this is our pump panel. There's fire hose stored in here, which we call our crosslays, which is our primary fire attack line. So the firefighter will jump out, they'll grab the hose out. There's 200 feet of pre-connected hose. They'll take it to the front door, and then right here is our discharge lines for those. You have the deck gun up top, and then everything's kind of labeled, so you know which lever you're pulling. And then every size hose gets a different pressure. So the engineer, again, he uses this dial to dial up the pressure or bring it down. And then not every hose line gets pumped at the same pressure. So this hose line may get pumped at 120 psi, and then this one may only get pumped at 100. So you have to set your pressure at your big discharge at the highest pressure, and then you just kind of gate this one down to be the most appropriate it can be. So just moving around, we have our what we call the engineer's compartment, which again, we're still building it out. It's not quite done yet, but it's got all sorts of different size hose adapters to go from a big hose to a smaller hose, double females, double males, so we can interconnect different hoses, different nozzles. So for example, this nozzle goes on a 2.5-inch hose. It's called a combination nozzle. So you can put it as a straight stream, or you can do it as a fog nozzle. And so that's why we call it a combination. It can do anything, and obviously open and shut. And this will put out about 300 gallons a minute. So lots of water.
Yeah. Is that a mirror on the inside of the door?
A what? I'm sorry?
A mirror?
It's not necessarily a mirror. It's just a really polished, brand new aluminum. And, yeah. And the point of that is when you open it and there's cars coming, the car will see itself, and so it's a little bit more of a deterrent to slow down. And obviously when we turn the lights on, there's lights everywhere on it. So
yeah,
that's one of our biggest concerns is roadway safety.
Yeah, I just can't imagine not slowing down.
Yeah. So there's a tool compartment that the guys have mounted all these tools exactly how they want them. So we have flathead axe, a pickhead axe, windshield cutter, bolt cutters, and then this opens up to more tools on the other side. So large bolt cutters. This is called a Pulaski for wildland fire. There's a pry bar, sledgehammer, and we have some miscellaneous tools that are kind of stuffed in there.
Nice. A broom to sweep the road.
Yep, a broom to sweep the road. And then these compartments are where we're going to keep our SCBAs. So this is where a bottle will go for our air packs. This will carry an entire pack in here, one that you put on your back. So again, we're keeping them out of the cab to keep that clean cab concept.
Nice.
And then obviously a fuel tank there.
How long did it take before they realized it can prevent cancer by taking the uniform off and keeping it separate from the body?
It's kind of, as a doctor puts it, it's a practice, right? So we're not sure. It's got to help, but we don't know how much. We don't I mean, maybe it doesn't help at all, but to us, in our minds, it helps. And
Right.
you know, if your mind's right, you're doing better already.
It's
So.
all attitude too. If you feel
Yep.
like, oh no, I'm covered in cancer, I'm gonna die, then you know
Then
it
you're
might
gonna
happen.
just you're gonna mope
And you
around.
get
But
the
if you're
special washing machines too, right?
we do, yep, commercial extractor washing machines, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This compartment's got some more tools in here. So we got a generator, fuel cans. In here's a sawzall. This is a circulating saw. We have 2 different chainsaws. This one's meant for ventilation in a roof. So this type of chain that's on it is meant for cutting through your roof shingles and things like that.
What if
And
it's
then
a metal roof?
there's a smaller chainsaw back here that's more for like down trees and stuff like that.
Okay.
So if it's a metal roof, we'll use the circular saw.
So you can still do it.
Yep,
Yeah,
you can
and
still
tiles.
do it. It's a little bit more dangerous. So tiles, we'll bring up an axe and we'll break the tiles off the roof. We'll throw them off and then we'll cut with the regular wood chip saw.
So you've got an answer for everything.
I try.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
And then fire extinguisher, large fire extinguisher, you know, and it's called an ABC extinguisher. So ordinary combustibles, flammable liquids, and electronic devices. So it's got powder in it, so it puts out anything. Almost anything. So in the back here, we have some wildland hose up top. So we carry 1,200 feet of wildland hose. So that'll get us pretty far into the fire. And then the bottom are the jaws of life. So we got spreaders and cutters. And the guys actually made this mount all on their own to be able to store these pieces of equipment. So they put a little rubber bumper there, a ratchet strap, so it's easy deployed, easy access for anybody to get to them. So
it doesn't bounce around.
Doesn't bounce around. These are very expensive tools that we don't want bouncing around. So they did a good job mounting those. As you can see, we're still got some mats here that we're working on putting in. We just need to touch up some more stuff. So
yeah, I have to say, Jaws of Life helped me a lot in a car accident I was in.
Oh wow!
In Lake County, the whole passenger side was missing. And that was a Chevy Malibu.
Oh yeah,
great car for if you have to get in an accident. Very protective.
So then the back has fire hose, as you could imagine. So over here is the large diameter hose. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So this is the part that will connect to the fire hydrant. And this is just an adapter. So we can take this off and we can connect to the bigger part of the fire hydrant. Or some hydrants, like if you live in Roby Point area, they only have the little fire hydrants with the 2.5 inch. So that's why we carry this as well. So we're prepared for anything. And so on there is a hydrant wrench to be able to open the fire hydrant with ease. So we carry 1,000 feet of the 5-inch hose. And then over here is 2.5-inch hose, which we can also use to supplement supply line. We carry 800 feet of this, but we currently have it set up with a nozzle on it. So it's a smoothbore nozzle, 325 gallons a minute. So big fire, big water is kind of the fire service term. So this is ready to go. And then over here we have what we call hotel packs. So I'll kind of trade you sides. So this 2.5-inch line, same hose as this one, but this is connected and it's got 200 feet and it's connected to what we call a Y. So we can pull that 200 feet out. So this will be beneficial for apartment complexes and such. If we park in the parking lot and we go down the walkway and then upstairs, you can't get your normal cross lay that we saw earlier with 200 feet. So we'll stretch this out and then we'll grab one of these hotel packs, which is 100 feet of hose, and we'll connect it to the Y, and these have nozzles on them. So it's kind of like a extension to be able to fight fire where you need to fight fire at.
Yeah.
Moving around. So this side we have some more extension cord, some portable lighting. We have an electric fan, so after the fire is out, we can put this fan at the front door and blow all the smoke out. And it's electric, so we're not pumping more carcinogens in with a gas motor, so we went to electric. Actually, the Model T Club, the Motherlode Model T Club was able to donate some money for us to buy this this last year, so that was really cool. Updating our equipment and our fleet, so that's been really nice to have.
What's in the Folgers can?
perhaps one of the most important things, we have toilet paper in there just in case.
Got to be prepared.
Got to be prepared. That's right.
That's funny.
So then this side has our medical bags, our medical equipment. So this is our typical medical bag that we bring into all of our medical aids. An AED. This is our advanced medical bag. So it's got some. We're not paramedics. We're EMTs. So it doesn't have drugs in there, but it has some advanced scope EMT skills that we've been able to adapt to. So it has like epinephrine in there. We can give epi for if somebody's having like when we do CPR, we always put some epinephrine in them to get their heart trying to go again. It's got some diabetes stuff in there that we can do. So a little bit of advanced scope. We're not to the paramedic level that they have actual drugs that they can administer.
Do you guys go to Hidden Falls by chance?
We don't really go there.
Okay.
Cal Fire goes there a lot.
Okay, because I did call them. I had a lady that was way out there, and she needed an EpiPen. She got stung.
Yeah. Yep.
And we were on our horses, so it was great. We galloped to the
good. Yeah.
to cell phone service because you don't always get it out there.
Absolutely. So yeah, this is generally our medical compartment here. Lucas device is an automatic CPR device that we can strap to somebody, and it does compressions for you.
Oh, wow.
So that's a really cool piece of equipment that we've been able to get.
Nice.
And then this compartment has rope rescue gear. These are rope bags, more rope and harnesses and all that stuff to rappel over the side of a cliff to help rescue somebody should they fall, something like that.
So how about during the Tevis Cup and the Western States? It seems that's City of Auburn, right? Auburn Recreation.
Right. So that's just outside the city limits, but we'll still go to those calls.
Go there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it takes a lot of people to operate a rope rescue system.
Yes, it does.
So there's a whole system to put together and make sure you have enough people. And there's a safety officer. There's hauling people that will pull on the rope. There's people that will go over the edge. There's an edge attendant. There's rescuers and then obviously incident commanders and stuff like that. So it takes a ton of people to successfully run.
And if a horse goes over too, you have to call probably UC Davis. They're really good with rescue and Loomis, Langdon Fielding, one of the owners of the Loomis Equine Center.
Yeah,
they come and help with rescue too.
We have one person trained in large animal rescue.
Nice.
So that's good. But again, it takes a village of people to operate the call. So we'd have to call in a specialized team for that for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We do have a compartment up here. So in here we keep our active shooter gear. So that's something that we have been training on. So we have bullet-resistant vests and helmets, and we train on that scenario. Unfortunately, we have to. So we have our gear in there should we run into one of those incidents as well.
Yeah, there was one up on Bell by Safeway at CalFit. A guy was shooting at people.
Right. Yeah,
that was fun.
Terrible. And then we didn't look at it on the other side, so I can open it over here for you. So this is our pre-connected hose. So there's 200 feet here and 200 feet here. And so the firefighters, they will pull these loops down. They will put their arms through the loops, and then they'll pull out the hose, and that's how they'll go fight the fire.
Nice.
Yeah. So, button that back up.
That's pretty cool how that's a strap and not a door with a latch, but just how you have everything modified for.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's happened over time. What works best.
And that's it.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
So you don't have a pole for me to slide down like Bridget
Jones'
Jones'
have a pole. No,
Diary?
It's not all
Did you
like
see that
the
movie,
movies.
Bridget Jones' Diary?
Mm-mm.
She was wearing a mini skirt. And,
oh boy.
And they asked her to go down, and she's like, "Okay, I'll do it." And then she just kept repeating it over and over.
Oh, geez.
Watch it. It's awful.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that.
You should watch it. I think it's mandatory for all firemen.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think we're done. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
And you guys, let's see. I don't know. I can't really flip it. Maybe that way.
There we go.
You guys should subscribe to Living in Auburn channel so you can learn more about your community. And if you want to move here and you want to live in the city, this is the guy that's going to help you.
That's right. True. You can come by the fire stations anytime. We're here 24/7 and we're always open.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You betcha.